Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm out here at the pumpkin patch again, and we have some very cool temperatures coming in this week. One of the days the high is going to be in the 50s, and honestly pumpkins don't really grow when it's below 60, so we're not going to have a whole lot of growth going on, and we're going to have plenty of days with lows. Very frosty. It's going to be very frosty. So I've been sitting out here trying to decide what to do, as we have lots of pumpkins, but they're not close to being done. And I'm thinking about getting kind of extreme with this, and kind of opposite of what I usually, I try to grow these plants all year long, and now I'm thinking about trying to take out a bunch of the plants. So we have some plants that just don't have any viable pumpkins on them. And I mean, they have pumpkins, but they're not anywhere close. So I'm thinking I might get kind of drastic, like this right here. This whole plant right here is a giant, but it doesn't have a very big pumpkin on it. Let me go see if I can find the pumpkin. Okay, we'll walk over here, check this out. So it's not a very big pumpkin. Down over here, that's as big as it is right there, size of a softball maybe. So this whole plant at this point is growing a softball size pumpkin, and I don't care how much time we got left, that's just not gonna get there. It's too far behind. So what I'm thinking about doing is cutting it off. So I would take this entire plant out. The one over there, similar thing. I haven't seen any good pumpkins on it yet either, similar sized. So because I just don't think it's not going to get there, even if I help it out, it's just not going to get there. That whole plant might come out as well. And so basically I'm going to go across all these plants and figure out which ones have pumpkins that might get somewhere. Like this one here is growing pretty good. I might do something for that. But then I'm going to try to make kind of a makeshift hothouse, greenhouse. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have very much material, but I thought about taking some tires and stacking them up and running a board out, draping plastic over it, and then so the cooler days it would still be getting warm enough to grow. So going to get kind of crazy with it. This is kind of I've been trying to grow this stuff all year, and I'm thinking, you know what, let's get it out of here and try to save the season. So see what happens. Like this one here, whatever plant that one's on, I think it should stay, because that's a nice sized little pumpkin, and I think it can get there if I can keep it under my little hothouse thing, my little greenhouse. I don't know. My main concern is over here. I have more pumpkins over there. If I can get this under some kind of a cover, and during those days where it's 55 or 60, if I can have plastic over top of this, it would warm it up enough under there to keep growing. And maybe as we come closer to October, we might have a little resurgence of summer coming along. I believe it's going to happen. And so I think we're looking at a 1 week, maybe 10-day spill here where I got to do something or we're going to lose it. So let's get crazy. Let's get to cutting. We're going to turn this back a notch and see what happens. Okay, well, we're moving along here. Haven't quite finished, but as you can tell, there's lots more room. A lot more room. Places to walk, pumpkins to see everywhere. Got rid of those 2 giant plants here. Didn't have much on them. Had a couple little softball sized ones, but those ain't gonna cut it. And there's one turning orange. Anyways, that's what it's looking like. So we're moving along. Gonna cut a little bit more, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to build something, like I said, around that particular area there, because I would really like to concentrate my efforts on that. Anyways, moving along. Okay, so it's a couple days later, and I've done a little bit more work in here. And as you can see, I've cut some posts out of my firewood and kind of placed them periodically around here. And what I'm going to do is take some old poles that are really no good for fence or anything else. I'm just going to kind of screw them on these posts, cross like that, and then put some things in between this way. Make somewhat of a frame on top that my plastic can kind of drape over. Nothing too major. We're only looking for a few weeks here, hopefully. And so I didn't want to buy nothing. We're just using stuff we got. I had the plastic roll ready for next year, hopefully to build a greenhouse. So hopefully it'll survive this little adventure. We'll see. But anyways, so later on I can cut this into firewood and I can put my rails back where they belong and use them for whatever kind of projects, maybe a new pig pen or something. So anyways, we'll put some rails on here and get some plastic on and hopefully save the season. Let's get her done. Well, moving along here, you can kind of see a little bit better picture of what I was talking about. As you can see, we got the posts and the rails up there. Like I said, this isn't nothing special for material. These rails are crooked and, you know, ununiform. So, but I did leave them whole. As you can see, I crossed them there, so I can take them off later and reuse them for, you know, what they're intended for. But this might be what they're intended for. I think it might work. I'm gonna have to go along and knock some of these knots off, some of this bark, so it doesn't tear my plastic. I mean, it might tear my plastic anyhow. But anyways, that's what it's kind of looking like. A very crude frame of a little hothouse. And I think it might do the trick though. So my next step is to clean off the rails a little bit and then go get some plastic and try to cut me a piece that'll fit over the whole thing, and then try to drape it over and secure it without destroying the plastic. Fun stuff. Let's see what happens. Well, we got the plastic on. It was, oh man, I don't know if it was a disaster or so much as I made a big mistake, and I guess you call it a brain fart, if you will. When I was putting this little frame together, I was under the impression my plastic was 25 feet wide, and it was not. It was 20 feet wide, and so this little frame was just a little bit too wide for that 20 feet wide, and I had to improvise, and it made it much more difficult than it needed to be. But we had to cut, I guess, two sets. So this is 20 feet there, this is 20 feet over here. We had to kind of seam it in the middle, as you can see, which would have been not so bad. But if you can imagine that the wind picked up right before we started to do this. So it was like, oh, isn't that the way it goes though? Every time you go to do a tarp or put some plastic down, that wind's gonna go. It's just gonna do it. So anywho, this is what it looks like, and I'm not sure it's gonna work real good. I didn't secure it as much as I want to because I want to be able to kind of roll this back if we get some rain or something like that. I'd like to get some rain in there, but I don't know if we're gonna get to or not. But as far as the heat goes, you know, I don't think I'm really gonna need to pull this back in the next few days unless the weather changes. You know, I don't want it to get too hot under there, but I still have to be able to pull it enough to get some water under there sprinkled or something. So we just have some logs at the base, some tires, things of that nature, and holding her down, and let's hope the wind doesn't get too carried away. It was blowing pretty good earlier, I have to say, but I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know. I'm a little less optimistic as that wind was blowing. I thought, oh man, I don't know if this is going to work at all. And I almost guarantee by the end of the season, this plastic is going to be not usable just based on the wind. And as you can see, if it rains, we're going to have some big old dishes here. We usually wouldn't get a whole lot of rains, but as the season goes, we might, but who knows. So there's probably, I don't know, 7 jack-o'-lantern pumpkins under here, a couple of fairy tales. We have probably 3 giants. 2 of them are a little bit bigger. There's one over there. And let's see, there's a couple other pumpkins down here. I'm not sure what they are. They might have been a kind of a cross on a seed. I can't quite tell. So these ones out here, they're left behind. We just got some jack-o'-lanterns, and a couple of them are ripening down here, as you can see. They're just going to get covered with sheets, and if it gets too cold, I guess they go down the road, man. We got to pick them, and of course these ones that are changing, they'll finish ripening. Like that one there, I don't think it would. So hopefully it'll start ripening, or hopefully we can keep it alive until it starts ripening. But you know, I thought about putting plastic over this plant, because this little plant here was actually, that little number there is growing pretty fast the last few days. But after the whole rodeo with the wind, I don't know, I might just do sheets on this one and kind of hope and pray it works out, but we'll see what happens. So the only thing sticking out of the greenhouse, the little hot house, this vine comes out from under the plastic and comes over to this pumpkin. And I don't know why I did that. I guess it's because this was actually my favorite shaped pumpkin out of the giants. And to my surprise, the turkeys, the ducks, and the chickens haven't been pecking at it. So I guess this vine comes out too. But anyways, I guess I'm just going to let this, nature's going to take its course on this. And whatever happens, I guess happens. If it dies, I'll cut it off. And of course, it'll be cut off from under there. But I don't know. It's experimental, guys. I guess we're just experimenting. And, you know, you work hard all season, and then you start pulling out all the stops, I guess. Trying to get something to come to fruition, as they say. Anyways, it's kind of a hodgepodge thing, but oh, look at that little sunflower. Isn't that nice? Well, guys, thanks for coming along on my little experiment here, and I guess we'll just see what happens. So stay tuned for the next couple weeks. We'll see. I think if the wind stays away, then we'll be in business, but we'll see what happens. As it were, around here we usually get some wind, so it might be a failure, but we'll I guess time will tell. But thanks for coming along, guys. We'll catch you back out here on another day. Have a good one.